Now, I would like to invite Additional Chief Secretary, LSDD, Kerala, Srimati Sharada Muralidharan IAS for the department note presentation.
Bahumanirim, as the presentation gets loaded, let me at the outset say how honored we are to have so many friends, colleagues, and partners from all the states of India respond to our invitation and come over here to be part of this celebration, as it were. Thank you so much. Next slide, please. So I'll go straight into the presentation. Of course, these are all things that we know about what happened, and there are stalwarts sitting here who actually spearheaded this. So it would be amiss of me to be talking about what happened as far as the Big Bang on decentralized governance happened post the Kerala Panchayat, post the constitutional amendments with the laws passed, and then first of all, and that is a small thing you might need to know, which was before all this happened, the state had also decided, let's do a stock taking of all the schemes that were beneficiary oriented and say, okay, let's just transfer them to the local governments to be done. So that was the first step, and then came the Big Bang, which is the Janagya Asutranam, for which we will have a lot of speakers referring to that. Next slide, please. So there are many people here who were part of the journey of GPDP. GPDP, when we started this question was, how can this happen in many states? And we wanted to give you the experience of Kerala to say, yes, this can happen. But there is also the assumption that that political will just ensure that we can steamroll over the process. But no, I wanted to point out that, yes, it was exciting times, but the chaos of decentralization at that point of time was also tremendous. There was resistance from all corners. People were talking about how this is not decentralization, this is decentralization of corruption. People were talking about, you had health officers, engineers coming in and say, how can we work under a panchayat? We had new systems of planning that needed to be prepared. Nobody had ideas as to how this whole thing, how this new creature was going to develop. You did not know what were the limits of local governance. Where did it end? And where did sectoral responsibilities begin? So figuring that out, the do's and the don'ts. And then you didn't have people on the ground to deliver all this. The desire and the demand was huge, but you didn't have people on the ground. You actually had an entire set of about 40,000 officers of the state went on working arrangement into the Gram Panchayats, into the municipalities, into the block panchayats and the district panchayats at various levels to actually support the whole process. And of course, there were delays. In the beginning, I remember the first plan which actually took as far as January of the next year to actually take off. And it was after that, this whole thing, because you were learning and the process had to come in. And then you also saw that local governments were behaving in any which way that was possible. And sometimes the intent of the state and the center were lost in that. So you had a coordination committee which was created. And this coordination committee it first met on regular basis, then weekly basis, and 2 weekly basis. And today, even today, the coordination committees are meeting on a regular basis to discuss and figure out how to ensure that facilitate the local governments, and B, ensure that they are working within the framework of governance. Next slide, please. There is one unique intervention that happened which I would like to draw attention to, and that was the DPC, the District Planning Committee. Now, this is constitutionally mandated, but Kerala gave a totally new spin to what the DPC was. What did it do? It said that the DPC was going to be the body that approved the plans, the projects and the plans of every single local government, be it corporation, municipality, panchayat, district, even the district panchayat. You know that the district panchayat president heads the DPC, but the DPC, when the panchayat president and the DPC chairman are two different entities, and they behave as two different entities. I remember that in the DPC, which I was member secretary of when I was collector Trivandrum, the DPC actually rejected the district panchayat president's plan, saying that it was outside the purview. So you found interesting dynamic that was coming up there. The DPC was also the watch guard to ensure that everything went right. At that time we said you need to have productive sector, infrastructure, social sector, so there were ceilings that were given. Infrastructure should not exceed productive sector, so there were some instructions that were given. It was also important to see that the SC plan, the ST plan, the plan for women, the plan for disabled, the plan for elderly, the plan for children, all of these were incorporated. It was important that the interventions were done in alignment with state and central policies. It was important that the subsidy framework was completely adhered to. How do you ensure all of that? And this was a responsibility which was given to the DPC. And then you had in the district of Trivandrum itself at that time, you had 10,000 projects which were coming in 3 days' time. You had to have a system by which all these could be approved. So we were pulling in resources from any which way, putting them together, and also doing the technical scrutinies, setting up a committee framework for technical scrutinies on the basis of which all this was done. So next please. Kudumbashree, the Honorable Minister talked about Kudumbashree, but I would like to tell you the Kudumbashree is actually started as a state poverty eradication mission. And then it became the Women Empowerment Mission. And the beauty of Kudumbashree was that it was not just about SHGs. It was about marrying the idea of the SHG into the idea of a local community that was engaged in the planning process on the ground. So which is why we call them neighborhood groups, not SHGs. So ask any Kudumbashree and they will not equate themselves with SHG. They think of themselves as neighborhood groups because the neighborhood group was the smallest unit of decentralized planning which went to the Gram Sabha and the Ward Sabha. So this was a wonderful space where the poor could consolidate, where women could consolidate, where people on the margins of society could consolidate. And by that consolidation, they became relevant to the local government. They became relevant for the planning process. So in that way, the state was actually ensuring that equitable distribution of resources was ensured by the creation and the growth of Kudumbashree. So another interesting dynamic that happened was with the MGNREJs. And when the MGNREJs, Mr. Vijayanand, who is sitting here, was at that point of time, he said, let us make the ADS, that is the second tier, it would be equivalent to the CLF. ADS ne namukku mate aaki kalayam. So at one stroke, Kudumbashree became central to the MGNREJ's program, and what it created was the participation of women, because women participation in the labor workforce was actually very low in Kerala, and MGNREJs changed that. MGNREJs also made women come into agriculture in a big way as producers, not as workers, as producers. It helped in converting fallow land into cultivable, productive land. And the knowledge that women were able to develop with regard to natural resource management also was tremendous. So this was, and MGNREJs in Kerala therefore became a stepping stone to multiple things. And from there you also see that the engagement in disaster, the minister also was talking about that, the engagement in disaster management, post-disaster. Why did we not, with the kind of floods that we had, with the kind of devastation, we should have had a roaring epidemic. That did not happen. And it did not happen because communities and the mobilization, both at the level of the local government and at the level of Kudumbashree, there was rapid mobilization and interventions that cleaned up and took care of this. So also for the local government today, it is Kudumbashree which is the flag bearer of local economic development, because Kudumbashree has that experience of what it means to economically empower the poor. Next slide, please. So just pictures of Kudumbashree. Next. The whole branding experience, which is what I meant, the knowledge of how to work the economy and what are the spaces that you can get into, something which Kudumbashree has been continually reinventing itself about. We also have had support organizations like the Shweta Mission, the Haritha Kerala Mission, and these were, because Kerala was a state which became ODF, and the first major state after Sikkim to become ODF. And this was primarily because the local governments and the investment they made in sanitation. But even then they said, you're going to face second generation sanitation problems very soon. And that's what we are facing right now. And the Shuddha mission came in as a total health and support mission for this. And then came the Haritha Kerala mission, which was again mentioned about. The Haritha Kerala, it was about green Kerala, greening the green agenda, the sustainability agenda, was something which Haritha Kerala mission supported in a big way and created models of excellence of how communities can come together, work with local governments to create models of excellence. The Malinya Mukta Navakerala campaign is something that the minister spoke about. I will not touch on that. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, again, very telling pictures these are. The Information Kerala mission. Now you need to know that the digital infrastructure of Kerala did not begin yesterday. It began almost 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we tried to put the projects of the local governments onto through an app into the digital space. 20 years ago, we tried to get them to record the plan processes. What we even tried to figure out what is happening in the panchayats, what are the meetings. Let us capture those meetings and let them be visible. So the idea of accountability and transparency was something which the IKM, Information Kerala Mission, which was set up, was able to bring into all the local governments. And property tax account. And of course, we are now going into the second version of this, ILGMS, it is Integrated Local Government Management System. Interestingly, in Kerala, all our panchayats, Gram Panchayats, are digital. Our municipalities are not. So it is the Gram Panchayats. The Gram Panchayats together are handling 1.4 crore files online, from the front office and online. And out of that, they have already cleared 1.3 crore. 92% is a clearance. So we get to see each and every panchayat, what is happening, whether they are processing and whether they are responsive or not. So these are all the various processes that the ILGMS has enabled, civil registration. And now we are into the next level, version 2.0 of that, which is K-Smart. And where we're bringing the municipal bodies as well, we're bringing ChatGPT, AI platforms. The whole idea is to really come out with a completely digitally enabled state. Next, please. So this is a Gram Panchayat office. Every Gram Panchayat office has a system like this. This is part of the ISO system. Next. Now, how do you make all this possible? As you know, in Kerala, the SIRD has merged with KILA. But KILA's training ethic has been that of cascading trainings. You will be surprised to know that there is hardly any core human resource inside KILA. Almost the resources of KILA are external. They are resource persons of various kinds and Hughes who are brought in, consultants who are brought in. So this is the way KILA works. And KILA continually, so it's a never-ending process of training. Working with the elected representatives, the standing committees, the working groups which prepare the projects, the resource persons, the officials, so stakeholder groups, communities, the Kudumbashree, all of these trainings are organized by KILA. And KILA becomes the repository of the archival information on decentralization of best practices. Today, it is a national and international connect of KILA has been quite amazing, and therefore, with all this knowledge in its, with it, KILA has become an advisory body to the local governments as well. I would like to speak specifically about the extreme poverty eradication program. The minister mentioned it, but what we don't know is that this was something which took off from the NRLM idea of participatory identification of poor. It took off from the Ashraya experience of destitute-free Kerala. And through that, what happened was 14 lakh people participated using qualitative indicators to identify these extremely poor. So you had to make a distinction between what was poor, moderately poor, extremely poor, and communities had to say that amongst themselves, we are not poor, this person is poorer than us. And that was a process. It went through multiple iterations before we could even figure out what the indicator was. And then multiple iterations to figure out how the FGD needed to be done. And it was at the end of all of that that we came out with these 64,000 families for whom we are looking at, first of all, when these people are so marginalized, they don't have voter ID, they don't have Aadhaar, they don't have anything. So, or if they have ration cards at all, they'll be APL cards because nobody recognizes them. So, getting all these cards for them, their entitlements, then looking at health, nutrition, and food. Yes, sir. I'll just wrap up, sir. So, getting at health, nutrition, and food, these were initiatives that were taken, and that was on the basis of which we have identified 47% as having cleared. So now, can you move on to the last slide? Because there will be, okay, the pictures. There are other initiatives which you can see here, ISO certification. Next. This is the front office of the Panchayat. This is a prefab housing complex in a Panchayat. Urban policy integration have all been spoken about. And then next. Disaster management. We are having a seminar on disaster management in the afternoon, so could discuss this in detail at that point. Next. Just some pictures again. Next. SDGs, localization. SDGs, as you know, we are at the forefront of that. Next. Just the last slide, please. So this is, I just end with this because this is a question. What are the challenges that Kerala sees for local governance? One is the fact that when we are moving into the space of digitization, of technical capability, find that we do not have adequate technical human resources. So that is a huge important. Then we need more funds to be able to work on the ground. Design elements needs to come into administration, and system thinking is required. We have a balkanization happening right now. We need to work on that. Last slide, Anna. The dynamic of urbanization, which was mentioned, I will not mention this, and ultimately also autonomy. Because over time, autonomy reduces, and it is time to reclaim that autonomy. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am, for the elaborate department note presentation.